I've got the Relevant Recruiter Show ready to go. I've got Kathleen Steffey joining me again. She is the founder, owner, creator of Naviga Search. Kathleen, thank you for hanging with me again.
Hey, I love it. I'm having fun.
First off, congratulations on Tampa finally winning a Super Bowl. I know you guys are all happy and still celebrating. So
Thank you. We are Champa now. We kind of
Tampa
can't
Bay.
get over it. We're really excited.
Did you go hop on a yacht and go join the parade, or what happened there?
No, I didn't. But I mean, they were on boats. They were having fun. I know there was so much criticism about this, but it's what we do down here. Like, this is how you're outdoors and you're celebrating, and it's not often we're doing this. So, right.
Right. No, I think you got to be doing that. I mean, I think that's a cool, unique way to do it. What do you think about Tom throwing that trophy in the water, though?
I loved it. I mean,
who
better to throw that?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I
don't
think many people were worried. So
nice. Yeah, that's really cool. So, I know your backstory, Kathleen, but tell us a little bit. How'd you get in the recruiting industry? How did we get into founding Naviga Search?
How did I get in the recruiting industry? I think I graduated from college and I wanted to interview. I loved interviewing, so I was like, recruiting and HR, that's something I could do. I started out in an agency for just a few months, and then one of my clients recruited me to work for them. So I was in corporate recruiting for some time, in corporate recruiting leadership, worked my way up to it. And then I went overseas. I was an expat in Amsterdam. And when 9/11 hit, came back and started my own business. So I've owned Naviga now for 19 years. It's been 19 years as of last month in January. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you've seen a couple of changes in the industry.
Just a little. A little, a couple changes, but then a lot has stayed the same.
Yep.
A lot, So
yep. Yeah, there's certain things in business that are always going to be the same for sure.
Yep.
Last time we connected, it was we were in the middle of, I guess we still technically are in the middle of this fun COVID stuff. But what were some of the things you guys did, and what were some of the adjustments you did in the middle of COVID that really kind of helped your company?
Yeah, well, the first 2 months of the pandemic, we had no sales, so we were like, what is going on? What is going to be of this pandemic? What is going to happen with my business? So what we did, we just continued doing what we do best on the marketing side of things, created a ton of content, kept posting, remained relevant in the marketplace, reached out to existing customers. The pandemic really kind of shook up our focus and made me realize we need to do some things more deliberately when it comes to existing customers and programs, and how we're communicating with them and how often. And then even our, new prospects that come in, we did some things with how are we delivering our message once they come into our website, our email drip campaigns, how are we honing in, stuff like that. So our messaging really changed for like a quarter too on social. It was about like how we care and how we're still going, and stuff like that. Right. Meanwhile, we're looking left and right. We're like, is this going to be okay? Are we going to keep going like long term, but I'm an optimistic person. So I was like, come on, I've been through a lot worse. We can make this happen. And then things just started turning like crazy after the 2-month silence, so, and we had a killer year. We were up 19.8% year over year. So.
Wow. That's impressive. And I know based off our emails going back and forth, you guys are still on quite a little upward trend right now. We're crazy.
I thought it was just like a surge at the beginning of January, but it's maintaining its integrity in terms of the amount of volume that's coming in from the world to Naviga right now. So we're having to be very strategic about how we work, and having to be very strategic about even when we start positions, like, so when we sign a contract, we're kind of pushing those intake calls out to kick it off like a week and a half later right now, just to manage, workload as I continue to assess if this is going to be a full year and not just a short-term trend, or is this how it's going to be, because I don't like to make rash decisions with hiring people. So yeah, It's
You're gonna
pretty.
you got to weather the storm right now. It's a good problem to have.
I know. It's a great problem to have. And it makes you smarter. It makes you pickier. It makes you more intentional about who you take on as clients. We've always done that, but now we're even, more intentional than ever. And then it makes us smarter about prioritizing what I have my team work on and when.
Right.
Like, okay, like, is that customer putting us on hold and not giving us feedback in 2 weeks period of time? No, let's not have that being our top 3 priorities right now. So where like maybe previously we would have just said, that's okay, let's make sure we cover it and move on. Now we're being a little bit more strategic about how we're working, these employers who are coming into our lives. So
right. That's awesome. And I know that, last time we spoke, we talked a lot about digital marketing. We haven't worked together, but, we both have heavy beliefs in that. That's what I help people do. And that's what you're already doing and kicking ass with. So
yeah.
Anything that you would kind of, share to the audience of, what's been working for you guys, especially in these, unique times?
Yeah. Well, God, it's not just one thing. Like,
Yep.
there are so many balls in the air as it relates to digital marketing and how we now have created a system where, these leads are coming to us. And we have, I just call it a boomerang effect with all this stuff. I mean, our content is constantly, being updated on our website. We send newsletters. We have social posts. We stay in front of our candidate audience. We're on Twitter. LinkedIn, is a great alignment for marketing specifically, for sure. We do B2B sales, marketing, operations, and executive searches. So, I mean, that's the LinkedIn sandbox right there for that audience. So we're all over LinkedIn and doing some fun things in there, and just constantly looking at how can we be relevant for that audience, and what is that audience in marketing doing right now? Not what are other recruiting firms doing.
Right.
What is the world doing? What is Apple doing to market themselves? What do their posts look like on LinkedIn? What does Amazon's posts look like on LinkedIn right now? Like, what are they doing? I'm not going to claim that I'm going to be their size, nor do I ever want to be, but they're the leaders in, creativity, and they can afford the best of the best to do these things in marketing. So I like to pay attention. And that's what I say to my marketing gals, look at them. I don't want to know what, my competitors doing. Look at what the worldwide leaders are doing in marketing,
Yeah, I think you bring up such a good point there. It's, you look sideways and you're going to stay the same. You look up and that's where you want to be pulling ahead.
Yeah.
And it's also, on the kind of a same topic, but off topic, so many people get overwhelmed with like, well, the consistency and frequency of which I should show up. And, you talk about Apple and Target, and it's like, when have you gone a day in your life when you haven't seen an Apple or Target ad, brand, something somewhere? But yet as individual independent business owners, like, well, I don't want to send them too many emails because I might make them mad. It's like the biggest companies in the world are everywhere, all the time, every day. Why aren't you doing the same?
Yeah. And people think they need to stay inside looking at just B2B practices, but I love looking at B2C, man. There are some of the best retailers in the world that are doing things to hook audiences and get clicks and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's limitless how you can keep learning and just being a sponge out there literally every single day.
Right.
So I have high expectations about how we want to do these things.
Absolutely. I love it. I know one of the things we were talking about before is I was talking to you about that platform Pager, which is kind of a automated posting platform, but also, curate some content, create some ideas for you. What was the platform that you mentioned that you guys have a lot of success with?
Agora Pulse.
Yeah,
we've been using that for some years now. So, yep. And
Right.
it tracks our posts. We can, get all of our content up there on a calendar in advance, and then pow, it comes on out, even on a month's end. And it's pretty effective. And that's just what you have to do when you're working with sophisticated marketing programs and you're not just playing with marketing, you really have an actual program going. And so, of course, use a tool to centralize that.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great feedback. So I know today we were going to be talking a little bit of sourcing. For those of you listening live, feel free to drop any questions you have. We are going to share some tools that we recommend. We certainly don't know all of them. We want this to be interactive. But, one of the things that we both kind of believe in is, LinkedIn kind of has a monopoly, or what the market kind of thinks that the only way you can get, traction with sourcing candidates and things like that is to use LinkedIn Recruiter. And there's so much more out there now. But let's start with LinkedIn Recruiter. I mean, what have you seen with that over the last, couple of years? I mean, I know the price is astronomical, and I know that it's got some really cool features, but is that something that you feel is still your best friend?
It's definitely a great friend of ours that I
Right.
would never want to get rid of.
Right.
It's definitely a great friend, but it's not my best friend anymore,
Ah,
So our spend on LinkedIn was about 25,000 for a good 5 years.
okay.
So that included multiple license for many of my recruiters to use and my sourcer. I found that the only reason we were spending that amount of money is for in-mail volume, because I wasn't having, I don't set up my business where every single recruiter is on LinkedIn sourcing. It's just
Right.
how I structure things. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Now, what made me think this is ridiculous, and this is what happened in the pandemic, having a little bit more time to reflect, is that our ROI on the in-mail responses just weren't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, what I'll hear from the world is, oh, you need to adjust your messaging. No, like, listen, we've adjusted our messaging. I've got the messaging down. Like, I've gotten feedback that our messaging is like absolutely amazing, all that stuff, even from LinkedIn. But what's happening is people don't have in their settings that they want to get a notification if they get an in-mail. Okay.
Right.
So if the user hasn't set up their settings properly where they want that notification for an in-mail, it doesn't matter. So what we were doing is sending direct connection requests. And we're like, let's see if this is going to be more effective and we have a better ROI. And it was, and it pissed me off. I'm like, I'm spending all this money where we could just be, doing CRs, we call them. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So when our renewal came up, I'm like, all right, we're going to do our due diligence. And last quarter of 2020, we researched a whole bunch of sourcing tools for finding names and numbers. But I wanted personal emails. I wanted personal mobile phones. I don't want direct lines to anybody's business because it's an absolute joke. And
Yep.
the ROI, nobody listens to those voicemails. Half the time we're talking to a switchboard like we're back in the 1990s and they won't let us through and stuff like that. So, I did our research and now we've got a killer research tool that we use and I love it. It's really effective and it's complementing our good friend LinkedIn.
Right.
And we're not depending on LinkedIn only as a source to reach out to people and get information from. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's excellent feedback. And just kind of digging in that LinkedIn Recruiter, I think we actually were talking through this on social media one time when you posted about the lack of results. And that's something that I hear all the time. It's not to say like, hey, like, does it work? Of course it works, but has it gotten better or worse? It continues to get worse. And I think in addition to, what you're talking about people not having the notifications on, I think it's also just like the mind frame of like, when I see an in-mail, I know I'm getting sold something. If you're going to waste your credit, you're trying to pitch me something. And then for recruiters, that's what everybody's using the same approach. And so people are just tune out. And, I have so much success helping people do exactly what you're saying, connect with people, build a relationship with them. And you have way more success in the inbox because you can hit them up multiple times at that point. So
yeah, where I was calling BS is when the people were, putting in their settings that they are looking for career opportunities, but yet those were the people still not answering our in-mails. I'm like, something's off.
right.
Something is off. You're telling the world you want to be reached out about a career opportunity, but you're not responding to me. That's bizarre.
Right.
But they would, connection request. And when we approached our LinkedIn, I don't want to bash LinkedIn because like I said, you're still my good friend, LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
But when we talked to our account rep, she said, oh, it's because you tag them 2 times, you ping them 2 times, you ping them on CRs and an in-mail. That's why they respond. I said, listen, listen. No. So anyway, All is good.
Yep,
LinkedIn has been very valuable, and it's a beautiful
absolutely.
tool for marketing and recruiting, but it has created awareness that we need to diversify our efforts, which is cool.
Right. I just had somebody ask a question, and I don't have the knowledge on this one. I think you probably have better feedback, but what was a good reply rate for you guys that you were seeing that's kind of declined?
Yeah, 35%.
Wow. Okay, 35%. That's
35%.
awesome.
Yeah, and it that has declined dramatically.
Right.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it does depend on industry, like who's on there, who's really active, but across the board, I'm comfortable saying that, it's decreased dramatically. So,
yeah. Awesome. Great feedback. Hopefully that answers that question there for you, Bill. Want to make sure too, going in. So, can you share this magical tool that you found?
oh, sure. Many people have their opinions on it, but it's Seek Out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we chose after doing a lot of due diligence, a lot of demos,
Right.
price analysis. I really liked our rep, really professional, solution oriented.
Right.
Yeah, Seek Out is what we chose, and I back that. I'm really enjoying it, and it's making a big impact in our internal process. So.
Got it. Now, is that basically it's getting you the information of emails and cell phone numbers mainly? Is that the main?
Yeah, it is. It is like another version of LinkedIn, because the way you can source on it is by title, by industry, keywords. You can even do diversity recruiting on it, and look for females specifically,
Mhm.
people in the military, and then you press search, and then all the people come up, and you can see their pictures. And
Yeah.
what's included is their LinkedIn profile and their bio, their backend, and they have an AI tool where they're just not depending on LinkedIn. So you can like press this feature that gets you the AI stuff. And then it like goes all over the place, not just LinkedIn, and you can get like millions, you can filter down and stuff. So
Right.
I don't know. It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Now, if you've been able to, um, like, does that have like automated email sequences incorporated with it, or that's just kind of gathering the data and then we take it offline type of a thing?
They do have automated email sequences, but I haven't gone there yet. Like I just want to take baby steps. We worked in there for a couple months now. So once we get it down in one aspect of it, I think we'll go to another and
Right.
learn more about it. But they do have automated email stuff.
Awesome. And yeah,
Yeah.
Carrie, that's Seek Out
Yes.
is the platform she's recommended. Yeah, I've heard a lot of those options out there. It sounds like you did a lot of research. I mean, there's Seamless, there's Interstellar. There's another platform I've come across called Snovio.
Cool.
Seems like a lot of options out there doing something. I think they're all a little bit different, have their own little unique thing. What made Seek Out the most attractive for you?
We love the user interface. It was easy, it was fresh. The data was there. We did benchmarks
Right.
because we put in people that we knew, like the spouses of my staff, to do testing to
Hmm.
see if their data would show up and was appropriate. Like, is that really the Gmail of Chelsea's husband?
Right.
So we did some cross-checking and stuff to see, and then we did an actual demo. They allow you to do the demo, and we didn't have a lot of irrelevant data as well. It's
Right.
not 100% bulletproof, it's
Right.
data.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
maybe 75% of the time when we, integrate and put those emails in our ATS, it's working, and these are correct numbers and stuff. So
Right.
it's cool.
Awesome. And did I just got a question from Tim asking, Seek Out, what about Seamless? Did you guys explore Seamless at all in that process when you were vetting these things out?
We probably did. I don't
Okay.
remember all the different ones that we benchmarked, and I had my team do it, and then they
Yeah.
presented it to me. So now I'm
Yeah.
just a spokesperson for Seek Out.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim, I've heard a lot about Seamless. I can't give you a ton of feedback about it myself, but I've heard a lot of good things about it as well. With Seek Out, like what have you seen from, we start looking at results, right? We just talked about in-mails kind of declining. Like, have you seen like a big notice in terms of, people responding because you have better data? Obviously it's just a matter of how you're using what you're getting, but has it
Yeah.
made a big impact?
Well, it's time. We're skipping the process that we had to reach out via connection request in order to get a reaction. And then, oh, by the way,
Hmm.
here's the position. instead we've got actual phone numbers that we can be texting, and
Right.
personal emails that are now included in our, email program that is in our system. It's not in this, LinkedIn Recruiter only. So
Right.
it's getting stuff off the platform and acting like another version of LinkedIn and getting ahead of the game because we already have the mobile phones and the emails. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because in our process, the sourcer reaches out, she sources, then she reaches out, gets their contact details, then puts them into our ATS once they're interested. But
Got it.
now we've got them. We're kind of like operating kind of like LinkedIn recruiter does, but with the data.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So got LinkedIn Recruiter, you've got Seek Out. We mentioned for the content, you're using Agora Pulse. Any other tools, kind of on the sourcing side that you guys are finding to help you win?
Yeah, we do have Zoom info,
Okay.
but I'm ready to like throw that in the trash once my contract's up, which
Yep.
we signed too long of a contract. And the reason being, should I not be negative about it? Maybe I should
No,
say
no,
the
no, no. This is a place to be honest. People want to hear this. So
all right,
let's
all
do it.
right. So the reason we're getting rid of Zoom info is because of no mobile phones. I'd say maybe 5% of the data given to us are corporate direct lines, and it gets me nowhere. It gets my team nowhere. And Zoom says we're working on it. It's something we're working on. We know that we need to, develop more mobile phones, but it's just something they don't do. And same with the emails. They're all business emails. And
Right.
so, the security, the servers are blocking us if we're
Yeah.
sending stuff to their business. It's like a joke. It's like almost like you're paying for data that I can't use,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll be ready to get rid of that. Sometimes we dabble in it, we might look up some names in there. It's a shame because it's not cheap. And it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
but it is what it is, and you live and learn every year in this industry. So
Yeah. It's funny, and I don't like to bash. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good things out there, but I speak with a lot of recruiting agencies, and Zoom info seems to be one of the things that people are most disappointed with because the price tag doesn't equal the value.
I know.
And, it's like when you have these other options out there that we've just discussed, you can save yourself a fortune first off. And the accuracy is, kind of right there. It's not too bad.
I agree. Uh,
Yeah.
Zoom
So I think that there's a lot of other tools to explore.
Yeah. I mean, Zoom had this sexy appeal to it. Like
Right.
Zoom Info had this brand and may still have a very strong brand. I'm sure it does.
Right.
For a lot of business development reps.
Yeah.
That where maybe it's crossing the line if you're contacting mobile phones for new sales. I don't know.
Right.
But not in our world. We need what they're doing at home.
Yeah.
We need personal stuff. So
Exactly. Well, especially now. I mean, nobody's sitting at a desk at
I
their
know.
desk anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
different.
I think COVID just it just it sped that trend up even that much more.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So seek out Zoom and LinkedIn, and then our applicant tracking system, which is called CATS. CATS.
Oh, nice. I've never heard of that one. I've heard of a lot
Yeah.
of them. How do you like cats?
CATS. Great. It works fine for what we need. You can develop drip campaigns. You know me, I love doing stuff like that. So
Yeah.
a lot of automation stuff in there, a lot of integration with job boards. When we put the new
Right.
job in there, it gets automatically posted, and search capabilities good. I don't know. I search capability from a user standpoint, I'm never fully impressed. I
Right.
just I want a platform that's really, really cool, like for an
Mhm.
ATS system that is kind of like a LinkedIn recruiter or a Seek Out, but I want it to be my own ATS system. So I'm never satisfied with searching in ATSs, or I haven't been yet, but all the other things related to cats, it fulfills my needs and
Yeah.
our needs.
That's awesome. Have you looked or heard about Loxo at all?
I've heard about it. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it is I've got a lot of my clients that work with Loxo, and they love it. It's just because it's an ATS on steroids.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd say it's worth a demo. Unless, and obviously not if you're on the market, you've got something you like, but if you're looking for something Loxo accomplishes a lot. It's such a good all-in-one system
Yeah.
that they've got going on. So, you know, and obviously Cat sounds like it's great. You've got all the other big traditional names that have been there with Bullhorn and all that stuff for a long time, and Big Biller. But Loxo seems to be kind of on the front edge of things. It sounds like Cats is doing some pretty cool automated things too.
They are. Their texting capability is really awesome too. Yeah, I'm not ready to make a move right now, and you'd have to put me in a straitjacket to do that type of thing. It is as busy as we are to do some type of ATS integration and evaluation right now.
Yep.
We do know that we want to make a change on our CRM system, but we can't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because of how busy we are, but yeah.
Loxo has the CRM ATS. It's got an AI feature inside. It's got tons of data. I mean, they're trying to make LinkedIn Recruiter obsolete as well. So it's a pretty powerhouse tool.
Hey,
with the automated functions.
Do you think that these players are going to kick LinkedIn Recruiter in the butt in some fashion, or like what do you think the story will be?
That's a good question. I mean, thank you for asking me one. That's cool. I think that just based off what I hear, everybody's tired of the games that kind of LinkedIn plays. Like everybody I talk to has a different price point on their LinkedIn Recruiter license. They're handcuffed. They don't understand it. And me personally, I'm trying to make it. I mean, there's a lot of other tools I think you can combine for half the cost that will do the same job. So, but that's, I'm not in the ground using the tool every day, so I'm not overly qualified to say. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of players that see opportunity to use other approaches to, avoid that big ticket. And I have a lot of people right now that are kind of combining LinkedIn Recruiter Lite with Sales Navigator and finding it to be just fine.
Just fine. Okay.
Yep. Cool. Yep. So, but yeah, that's really good. Yeah, Carrie, that was Loxo that we mentioned. Going back up, we've got some good interaction going on here. So, Tim, tools like Duck Soup or LinkedIn Helper, I'm a big believer in leveraging tools like that for automation. I think Duck Soup and LinkedIn Helper, I can tell you that there's way better tools than that. And the reason I say that is because those tools are all over LinkedIn's radar, and they're Chrome extensions, and LinkedIn knows all about those. And it's just a matter of time before they come down and slap you on the wrist. So really what you want to look for is more of like a cloud-based solution. If you're looking at automating those types of things, would be my suggestion. If you've never heard of LinkedIn Nefarious is a Chrome extension you can download. It'll actually tell you all the automated tools that LinkedIn is looking for. Yeah, so that's a pretty cool little tool. So LinkedIn Nefarious will tell you everything, and you'll see Duck Soup on there. You'll see LinkedIn Helper and a lot of the tools that are out there. Doesn't necessarily mean they're coming to shut you down or anything like that, but that's just what they're aware of, and they have a little scraper that goes through there every day. So
yeah, I see more and more LinkedIn shutting people down. The comments on my networking groups and stuff like, hey, LinkedIn shut me down and is restricting me from doing X. Does anybody know why? Or I'm seeing like a lot more of that. I think LinkedIn is cracking.
Oh yeah. They're definitely cracking. And that's why it's so important to, you can't just, if you're going to use automation, you still have to be ultra targeted. Your message still has to be really relevant, because people sniff it out all day long now more than ever, because you have so much of the market. And if anybody wants a tip, like don't connect and try to sell somebody. That's what everybody's doing. It's just tacky. And it worked 5 years ago. I used to do it 5 years ago. It used to work fine. Now you're just going to bury yourself and dig yourself a hole. And what LinkedIn actually, they can detect a certain amount of automation tools, but what people are usually getting in trouble for is the overuse of the tool and the volume, and people saying, oh, I don't know this person, or they're getting a lot of reports of spam. And that's usually like, if you have a relevant message to a relevant audience, they're not going to turn you in. But if you're just shooting stuff everywhere with no control, that's where you're going to get yourself into trouble. So yeah, it definitely happens.
Well, here's the issue. Sales leadership across the United States and world has not adjusted, and they're still having their reps do it in this manner.
Right.
So these reps are following a process that they're being told to do. Right. That this works. Do so many blah, blah, blah a day. And it's one of the most ineffective things. I just delete it every time, because it's the insincerity of the connection is just so like big. It's like, okay, cool, let's connect. Oh, by the way, do you need, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You gotta show me a deeper level of thinking, you
Yep.
know, a
Yep.
deep level of thinking. Connect with me in some other way. Call me. Find my mobile phone and actually have a conversation with me. Like people
Yeah.
don't do that anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
So,
funny. Well, people are on to it now. You know, it's funny is like a couple of years ago, the scripts were like, hey, I see that you're in the recruiting industry and we have a bunch of mutual connections. Now it's like almost everybody can go, oh, shoot, that's automated. Click, delete, ignore. So now it's like if you're using automations, it's finding ways to like, don't even send an invite message, welcome message with it now because people almost think that that's automated. So
oh,
just send a blank
totally.
message, you know?
Yeah.
I think the key is like what we, you know, we're still very successful with it with people, myself, people that go through my program. And it's all about starting a conversation for a small audience. You can still leverage automation the right way, being relevant
Right.
with a relevant message that's still targeted. You can do things on mass
Yeah.
stuff successfully, but yeah, if you're just going out there and praying and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Showing.
Renee had a good question. She says, how are you using their personal emails for business development? Are you doing any type of like flip marketing or anything like that? Are you using any of that from Seco?
I'm not. We don't do any business development outreach.
Right.
And that might sound wackadoodle, but it's because of what we've done on the marketing front for
Yep.
years. And we just get
Yeah.
lead sources in. And right now, just for an example, we've got about 2 a day right now
Yeah.
of employers around the world who contact us and want our help. So that's
Yep.
why I was talking about how we've gotten to be really smart after
Yep.
we sign a contract right now. But yeah, no, we don't use that for business development.
Yeah, you know, and it's honestly, I love what you said there because there's so many people and there's still so many trainers and coaches that are just telling people the only way you can win in this industry is you got to make 100 outbound calls a day. And it's such bullshit. It is complete bullshit. And you're so much more leveraged by the way you're doing it because people are coming to you, they view you as the authority, they get on your calendar and
100%.
how quality of the call is it? They, you know, it's like, it's such a big different thing. I mean, I think there's so many people that are destroying and keeping people in this trapped old world of like, oh, you got to win on the phone. It's like, yeah, well, you win on the phone, but I tell you what, I'd much rather be on the phone with somebody that wants to be on it with me with an inbound lead rather than breaking down doors all day long.
Yeah. Well, I think you're dealing with an industry that for the most part hasn't changed in that manner yet. Every other industry in the world, that's why I was saying I don't watch my industry for that.
Exactly.
I mean, every other industry in the world is doing progressive digital marketing.
Yep.
Integrated marketing programs. That's what you got to do, period. You know, and with a follow-on, you know, business development call. But it's just, yeah, it's just an old school thinking that it's underdeveloped. It's kind of like an underdeveloped sophistication in marketing in our industry.
Well, it's kind of like you were saying about the sales reps, like the same recruiting coaches are teaching the same tactics they were teaching back in 2000, you know, and it's like, okay, well, let's modernize now, do that, but do both. If you're not posting content every day, you're going to be forgotten about real quick.
But the CEOs who are operating those recruiting firms, they're living in a hole. They're the ones that aren't leading the reps or leading the sales leaders who are misleading the sales reps. So the whole industry needs kind of like I don't know what do they need?
They need a facelift. That's my mission. That's what I'm on a tear to do is help more people understand, you know, how to leverage automation and online marketing to attract people to you. You know, Tim was asking leads coming in through the website or through social postings. What are you seeing more for your business?
Well, Tim, I would say through my website, but because of social postings.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's both, but
yeah. So on our web form, we ask them where do they come from, and they tell us different places. Not all the time, will they? But they come to our website, they call us. We've got a hotline, if you will, and we have a chat on our website. They chat us up, and we do get direct messages, you know, on LinkedIn as well that says, "Hey, I heard about you guys from blah blah blah. I want to talk to you," type thing. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and Tim, that's exactly how it should look. It should be, you know, usually using your social media presence to drive traffic to your landing page or drive traffic to an inbox, so to speak. And when you're doing this successfully, like for years, like Kathleen has, is it really starts to come in everywhere, right? Website, email, LinkedIn inbox, it should be coming from everywhere. Once you've got these things going up. Yeah. I mean, that's how I see it for myself too. And that's how my clients see it. So that's excellent feedback. This has been awesome, Kathleen. We've had great interaction. Thank you, everybody that's watching live. We're going to wrap this up here in a few, but I just want to give anyone any last chances to ask questions, since Kathleen's been so grateful with sharing her resources and awesomeness today. So yeah, feel free to drop those last questions. Kathleen, what are you excited about most, as we head into the rest of 2021?
I'm excited about growing my year-over-year sales. I think we're gonna have a target of my director's gonna kill me for saying this out loud. Maybe not, but I think we're gonna target around 20% increase, and I think we could do that because if we did what we did with 2 months off,
Right.
where we essentially could have been hanging out at the beach and we didn't know it, right? For those
Right.
2 months off and with no sales, and we were still up just under 20%. I think with the activity that we have right now and, the surge that's happening, and with the pandemic hopefully coming to close to an end by end of year, I think we're going to kick ass.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. If you guys love the value that Kathleen brought today, give her some loves, likes, comments, share for us here. She's been awesome. One tip, you've given us a bunch, but one tip, what would be that one tip you'd give the recruiting, entrepreneurs and professionals listening, for the rest of the year?
Stay the course. Stay the course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you guys can find Kathleen on LinkedIn. She's there. And we got one last question here. What social media does Kathleen see the most traction from? She mentioned it earlier, Renee. It was LinkedIn is her biggest one. Anything else besides LinkedIn that you notice a big traction on?
A lot on Twitter. If you start following your audience, if you have a company page on Twitter and you start following your audience, people with the titles, for example, VP of sales, VP of marketing, and they see your content, we see it. There's a ricochet effect. So
sweet.
Yeah.
More value. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you,
All
Tim, right. Carrie, Renee, Vince, for all the positive comments. You got a lot of love on this side, Kathleen. So
cool.
Thank you for hanging with me. You guys have a great week and we'll talk to you soon.